All right, let's talk about Turkish Airlines because they just dropped a bombshell of a number, $1.1 billion in profit for just one quarter. Now, on the surface, that sounds incredible, right? But, and this is a big but, hiding right under that massive number is a really strange paradox. And it's one that could completely change how we think about the airline's future. So let's dive in.
Okay, so first things first, let's set the scene. We're looking at the third quarter of 2025. And this wasn't just, a good quarter for Turkish Airlines. Nope, this was one for the history books.
So here it is, the big one, $1.1 billion. That's their operating profit in just 3 months. Let that sink in. Billion, with a B. I mean, in the airline world, numbers like that are they're almost unheard of.
And just so we're all on the same page, this wasn't just pretty good. We're talking about the single most profitable third quarter ever in the airline's entire history. So you'd think it's time to break out the champagne, right? Well, maybe hold off on that for a second.
Because here's the twist. While the total pile of cash is bigger than ever, the actual profitability, the margin they make on every single ticket sold, is going down. How on earth is that possible? That is the big mystery we are going to unpack right now.
Right, the profit paradox. How can you make more money than ever, but somehow be less profitable on each sale? It sounds like it shouldn't work, but believe me, the answer is all in the details.
Okay, look at this. This really lays out the conflict perfectly. On one hand, you've got that historic $1.1 billion profit. Awesome. But on the other hand, their operating margin took a nosedive. It dropped by a whopping 21% compared to last year. So what's putting the squeeze on them?
It's basically a perfect storm of challenges, or what the industry calls headwinds. First up, softer yields. That's just a fancy way of saying ticket prices are down because competition is super fierce. At the exact same time, their costs are going through the roof. Fuel, paying their staff, maintenance, you name it. Throw in all the geopolitical stuff happening around the world, and yeah, you can see why those margins are getting tight.
Okay, so if costs are way up and the money they make per ticket is down, how in the world did they pull off a record profit? The answer is actually pretty simple, but incredibly powerful. It's all about sheer, unstoppable scale. Get ready for this number. In just those 3 months, the third quarter, Turkish Airlines flew 27.2 million people. To give you some perspective, that is literally like moving the entire population of Australia in just 90 days. This mind-boggling volume, that is the absolute key to understanding their success.
And you have to understand, this didn't just happen by accident. It was a deliberate strategy. They have been aggressively expanding their capacity, that's the number of seats they have flying in the sky, by 43% compared to before the pandemic. Think about that. While most other airlines were just trying to get back on their feet, Turkish Airlines was hitting the accelerator hard.
And of course, you can't have all that capacity without the planes to make it happen. Their fleet has now ballooned to 506 aircraft. But again, this isn't just about buying planes for the sake of it. It is all part of a super detailed long-term vision. Which naturally brings us to the grand plan behind all of this. It's called the 2033 Centennial Strategy, and it's time to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Turkish Republic. So it's a big deal for them.
So what is it? Well, it's not just about getting bigger. It's a very clear strategic push to become one of the most dominant global airlines on the planet. And they plan to do it by leveraging their hub in Istanbul to perfectly connect Europe, Asia, and Africa like almost no one else can.
And their whole strategy really boils down to 5 main pillars. We've already seen the massive fleet growth, but they're also laser-focused on dominating their Istanbul hub, innovating their service to be top-notch, and doing it all with smart financial planning and a real focus on sustainability.
And listen, they are absolutely putting their money where their mouth is. We're talking about a $3.6 billion investment in just the first 9 months of this year. That money's going into new planes, new infrastructure, the works. They're not just planning for 2033, they are building that future right now.
All right, so let's tie this all together. What does this crazy quarter really tell us about where Turkish Airlines is going?
Well, the immediate future looks incredibly strong. I mean, they're on track to hit their full-year profit targets, which is huge. Forward bookings look fantastic, and they're planning to keep growing, but in a smart, measured way. Basically, all the signs are pointing up.
And that brings us back to our paradox. And here's the solution. Right now, the Turkish Airlines strategy of just massive, overwhelming growth is working. They're flying so many more people that it's completely overpowering the fact that they're earning a bit less on each ticket.
In other words, pure volume is crushing that margin pressure.
So that leaves us with one last, really powerful question to think about. They've got a crystal clear strategy, they have record-breaking cash to make it happen. So the question isn't really if they're going to be a major global player anymore. I think we can all agree on that. The real question is, are they in the process of building an airline that is just simply unbeatable?